That's so crazy because I had totally forgot how to do all of that. There's way more involved than I think a lot of people would ever realize.
What to do? What you just
Yeah, like there's like I gotta press a whole bunch of buttons. Yo, what happened? What's up?
I opened up the YouTube page like hours
And
ago
the audio.
link and I forgot that I had that open. Well, wouldn't be a first day back without some very teeny weensy bits of drama.
There might have been Daniel
Daniel, what's
Fisher. What's
going
happening? Oh my
on?
god. What's up?
Did
How
my
you been?
did my camera just do what I think it just did? It sure did.
You got like yeah, what was that? What's that about?
So I'm using my MacBook camera, and just like when you're on FaceTime, you can put up a whole bunch of stuff. And
Oh, your camera
we
does
haven't,
new
yes, we
camera.
haven't streamed in such a long time that I've
You got
had
a
this
new
update.
camera.
No, no,
Wow.
no. This is just the update on the MacBook. We haven't streamed in
But
such a long time that this has not happened on the last time we streamed. This function wasn't on Apple, but if you have a MacBook Pro and it's updated and you're on FaceTime, it's just going to do that.
when did you get a new MacBook Pro though?
I had this MacBook. We were streaming on it. We were absolutely streaming on it because I didn't have to sign into StreamYard. So the
Okay.
laptop is not new. The functionality is new.
That's the new 16 something that I think I just installed on mine.
I think this was
Or is
on
this
the
just
previous one. This has been there since whatever the. I think my laptop might even be on 14. Don't be mad at me.
I don't even use
Do you
I don't use
FaceTime?
my laptop for I don't know, and I don't use my laptop to face on people.
So since I
First and
didn't turn
foremost.
you will see, because I talk with my hands, you're gonna see stuff. There's just no doubt about it. It's gonna happen. You have 2 thumbs down, it'll rain.
Lots of flair, lots of flair.
There we go. Fun fact.
That's high key fly though.
It is, except when you're in therapy via your laptop and your computer and you're crying and you put up 2 fingers. You just are talking with your hands and balloons go. You're just like, I'm really not anymore. And then the balloons are coming. That has happened to me. So I have to figure out how to turn off this feature at some point.
I mean, hey, it's still cool. It's got an effect, you know? It's got an effect.
All right. How are you? How's life? It's been a very long time.
Life is lifing, but it's all good. We're you see how my camera just like tried to just it did the thing. Yeah, it's like it's weird. The focus does that type of stuff, you know. But yeah. You know, life is doing things. Life's doing things, good things, normal things, life things. You know. It's all good. We're making it happen.
We are.
How are you?
I'm good. I am very excited to be here and wish I planned this more than yesterday ago. Yesterday I saw Coop saw the movie and I was like, can we do a stream tomorrow? Yeah, 7:00. Perfect. No.
It sounded good in the moment. It was like, oh yeah. It was like, oh yeah, we
haven't done this for 2 years. You realize, dang, where's my setup? This is not my usual light. Don't know where my usual light is. My other ring light isn't working. Tried to use my phone as a camera like I had done for the last couple of streams we had. I used my phone and you know what? The phone is new.
That might be part of the problem.
The phone is newer than the last phone that I used on stream. So that's something.
Might need a firmware update. The cool, what's happening? Oh man, look, all of our usual suspects showing up in chat. I love it.
I'm so happy. Hello to the 5 people who are viewing us right now. We're so happy that you're with us and we've missed you very much.
It's been a long time. It's been 2 years. We were talking about that off camera. Like that's crazy. Those 2 years went by quick as heck.
They really did, and it's too long, and we're coming back. We've had lots of conversations today, and we are going to be doing this, so don't worry. Daniel says, should work if your Mac OS is up to date. I don't think it is. I think my phone is up to date, and I don't think my Mac is. So that's an Imani problem. Like I said, this is what happens when you decide yesterday to do this today, and then you decide today to do this at 7:00, knowing that you're working and you're not going to have that much time to get ready. So the next stream will be better.
will be better. It's all good though. Like I mean, we're here, the chat's here, everybody's here to watch. Like, we're all excited. And like you said, we are going to get back into this because we've got some plans right now. We've been in discussions. JBM is coming back. Uh he's on dad duty right now, so that's why he couldn't be here. Otherwise, he would be here. So if there's ever a good reason to not be here, dad duty is
He is
absolutely
the
a
greatest
great
reason.
reason.
Yes.
So that's that. He does send his regards to everybody in chat. I'm pretty sure if you're in the Discord, you see him in there frequently. So, say what's up.
So let's get to it. I want to start out by saying that I enjoyed this movie. This is my disclaimer for this review. I did enjoy this movie. Before I saw the movie, I saw a lot of negative reviews online. And after seeing the movie, I felt like those reviews were intentionally misleading. There are quite a few flaws with this movie, but overall, it is enjoyable. And unless you are a deep down lover of film and also a comic book fan, you're not going to have the issues that we're going to discuss today. And I'm saying that one, it's Black History Month, and we have a Black Captain America. So I don't want to start my review by bashing this film in a way that will stop people from seeing it, because I do believe it's a film that's worth being seen. But that being said, Coop and I have some issues that we are going to discuss today. And we feel strongly that even though we have these strong feelings, it is a movie worth watching. 100%. And there we have a list of several Marvel movies that are worse. We can't rank it today amongst the other Marvel movies. We can't do that without JBM. It's only fair. But once we do get to it, it's not going to be on the bottom, which is how people. I saw somebody said that the movie was worse than Captain Marvel.
No. That's crazy. That's preposterous.
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 Awful. It's absolutely not true, and it's extremely unfair. That being said, Coop, where would you like to start?
All right, so right off the bat, I saw one trailer for the movie. I didn't look at any reviews. I went in really cold. I didn't even rewatch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I barely remember that series going into it, so I went in fairly cold, in my opinion, and I came out thoroughly entertained. I thought it was a pretty good movie. Could it have been better? Absolutely. There were some things that happened that made me cringe a little bit. We'll get into that, but I think overall it was a movie that I think sets Sam up to be a great Captain America. I feel like this performance in the movie was his best performance as Cap. This movie sold me as for him as Cap. I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier was still a little bit, from what I remember, I wasn't 100% on board just yet. With him being, I can't remember it. I have to rewatch it, but I don't remember being okay, he can lead the Avengers. I wasn't at that point yet. But after this movie, I was he felt more like a leader. I can see, I can see why people will want to follow him. And that to me was very important. That was something that they needed to establish, and they nailed. So that was, I think overall, those are my that's my overview review of the movie.
What's my overview? I enjoyed the fight scenes, but I wish we got a little bit more. My biggest heart with the movie is that Isaiah Bradley didn't get enough on screen time getting busy. I would have loved to see Isaiah Bradley get busy. I think leaving the theater, that's the one thing that I truly needed. Had I gotten that one thing, I don't think I would feel the way that I feel about the movie. I think I don't want to say they wasted his character, because again, this is his first movie as Cap. If they do what they've done with other heroes, he will get more. I would hope we'll see Isaiah Bradley again, but I think that's what I really needed. So I don't want to say that they wasted the character, that they didn't use him correctly, because there is possibly still a future for Isaiah Bradley. What was the nephew's name, or his grandson? Elijah? Whatever it is, we know we're going to see them at some point.
Yeah,
so there'll be
more
time on screen for the Bradleys. But that was my biggest issue. No, that's not my biggest issue, but that's the one thing that I think could have saved them in my eyes. Says a Bucky flashback. High key, I agree, but I don't even think we needed that in this film. I think I wanted old Isaiah kicking A. I would have loved to see that.
I agree there that they could have used his character better. 100% about the fight scenes though. Like the fight scenes didn't have any impact to me. Like a lot of the action sequence, like they were good, but they weren't like they weren't amazing. Like the I'm trying to think, what was the Winter Soldier? I think that's when the Russo brothers got the Captain America. Like those fight sequences had like the hits had like impact, like, and their camera work was a lot better. I think, like, I don't think it was necessarily like the action sequences and the choreography was the problem. I think it was just the use of the camera that didn't land for me like I would have hoped. Like, so that was one thing. But the thing about Isaiah Bradley, I think, is I agree with you that they could have used him, and I would like to see him get into some fights. But I think it was more important for them to establish Sam as Captain America. Like, and if they could have done that in a way to make, without like the attention being drawn away from Sam, because Sam was like, what I did like about it was he was clearly the hero of the movie. Like, he led all of his actions led to the outcome, which was, you know, them getting everything basically back on track. But
quick, before we get off Isaiah Bradley, I do want to add something. I hope you've seen this before. I really hope you've seen this before. If you haven't seen this before, then I'm about to blow your mind. Them people are wrong for how they did Isaiah Bradley's hair.
Yeah, that was crazy. You talking about in the jail? In the jail? Like in jail? That was,
don't know how they did it. But I'm gonna show y'all right now how they did this hair. Y'all, this is how they did Isaiah Bradley's hair. Oh, come on. Oh, brighten it up just a little bit. Y'all, they glued hair to his head. This is the technique.
Oh, that's crazy.
Now, what I will say is, if they had somebody who was like that on set, it could have been better. But they stopped right here. They saw this and said, yeah, we're going to leave Isaiah hair just like this. Oh, come on, go back to it. This is like, if you're Black, you noticed, and specifically a Black woman, if you're a Black man who's never done this to their hair and never seen his videos, you might not know. But as a Black woman who has gotten his hair braided, I know exactly what pack this hair is out the beauty supply store. I know how much it costs. I could clock it anywhere. And this is exactly what they had on Isaiah Bradley's head. That is wrong. That is dead wrong. I'm so upset that they did that to him. Like, of all, like, y'all, they should have left him bald. I have a feeling the actor is bald under there. They should have left it like that. Okay, I'm so sorry. That I just had to get that out. It was, to me, up there with what's his name?
Tyler Perry.
Yes, it was up there with Tyler Perry.
It was. I would agree with that. It was pretty rough. It was extremely bad in jail. Like, the prison scenes were the absolute, it was egregious.
I'm telling y'all, they put that glue on there, they stuck it like this, and then they sent him on his way.
And then they packed it. They packed it. It was like, oh, that's crazy.
Yo,
That's crazy.
and I feel like I can be upset about this because Marvel has consistently gotten the hair for their black characters right. We never had these conversations about Black Panther. In fact, I don't think we had any hair conversations about Black Panther, period. It just wasn't a topic because it was done so well that it just worked with the film. We didn't talk about Sam's haircuts before this.
I mean, he was bald.
We didn't talk about the girl from the Marvels. We didn't talk about Lasagna Lynch
True.
In
True.
Multiverse of Madness. It was done so
true.
well that we didn't even think about it. This is the first time that Marvel and Disney have had me look at a black character like, y'all did what?
That was rough. That's definitely one of the things. It was like, no, it was noticeable. It was hard. It was hard not to notice that, like, just how bad it was.
And because I knew how they did it, I was even more upset. I was in the theater like, I know they didn't do what I think they did. And the further along the movie got, you're absolutely right. It got worse and worse. It was only good on that one night when he was suited and booted.
Yeah, the suit scene and then like the intro, I think, were probably shot the same day because it seemed like it was the same when we see him in the sweatsuit and then when we see him in the suit. And then the prison stuff, it was like, whoa, y'all out of pocket.
That's exactly what it looked like. It looked like a sponge. And maybe because he was in jail, they were trying to make him look like, you know what, he's in jail, he's not gonna be able to keep it up. But if he was really in jail in real life, it wouldn't look like that.
Nah, it wouldn't have.
And he wasn't even in jail that long. Like his edge up wouldn't have gotten that bad in a couple of days.
And I'm trying to figure out why it was so long, because it was clearly packed in. Like I could tell it was packed in.
So the hair texture that they used, it's packed like that naturally. Like just the way they make it, it looks like that. I don't understand why they didn't. I'm confident that whoever styled his hair learned how to do that for the movie and decided, oh, that's good enough.
Hadn't done it before.
They did that for.
I can see that.
For this movie. This was not somebody who was trained in that technique because this is a still. This is me pausing this video before this barber gets to continue. This is the final look. If it'll play. This is that same barber.
Which is honestly
same client. The same hair was used.
Which is that's all he needed too. That's all he needed. Just that a low buzz cut.
And I'm gonna let you know right now, I could see this from a mile away. If his final product still looked like that, I'd have clocked it, but I wouldn't have been mad. But this is how his hair looked. I don't like that. Okay, I'm leaving it alone. I'm going to the next topic. I just had to say that.
All right, what's the next topic?
The leader. You want to talk about him?
Is that his name officially?
That's the character.
Is the character okay? Yeah.
So the leader is a character from the comics that was affected by gamma radiation. However, instead of turning into the Hulk, his head got really big and he became intelligent to another level, almost like other parts of his brain were accessed and his mind could do things that no one else's mind could do. He's arguably one of the most intelligent people in the Marvel universe. But also for most of the comics, he looks very, very different than what we've seen on screen. I can try to pull a picture of that up. He absolutely was Mr. Big Head. But in the comics, actually, I'm gonna just do it on my phone. No, I'm not gonna do it on my phone. Because I would like you all to see what I think he was originally supposed to look like versus how he ended up.
He you just gave yourself a thumbs up.
Oh, see?
I was like I saw the little thumbs up thing pop up. That was hilarious. I couldn't clock him until the full reveal with his head, and like I saw the damage, because I remember that he was in. I remember the final scene he was in the Incredible Hulk, because he was like laying on the floor and the gamma serum was like dripping on his head. Like that was the last time we saw him, and I was surprised because they haven't really gone back to that movie at all, even though it's technically canon. Most of the films since The Incredible Hulk haven't referenced that movie at all, so it's really interesting to see see them. Like, you know what's crazy, he looks so close to with one of the Green Lanterns, the leader.
Yes,
like so it's almost almost identical.
So in most of the comics, he's just a green guy with a really big head. In some comics, he's not green at all, and he's just a regular looking guy with a giant head. And then there are comics where he looks more like what we saw. However, I don't believe they originally intended for him to look that way. We know they did extensive reshoots for this film. I think they originally had him looking like this, or they had him looking like a regular guy, so he was not green, but he had a big head. And the leader is so intelligent in the way that he speaks and his actions and his just movements. He's an extremely calculated person. He's very smart. I don't think the writing reflected how intelligent he is. So imagine a regular dude with a big head saying there are multiple possibilities. I don't think that went over well when they, tried some screenings. And so I believe they went and made him scarier looking, chose a different version of him to put into the film after the fact. I don't have an issue with reshoots because 9 times out of 10 they're needed. Something went wrong and something didn't go over well and they had to go in and fix it. But I don't know if, what am I trying to say here? I don't think the leader was villain enough in this film. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he wasn't a strong villain.
A considerable amount of screen time and work for a character who has to have others do his dirty work. He cannot fight. He cannot defend himself. Someone else has to do it at all times. Did I mess up what you did before?
No, I think that's it. I don't know. It was this one. I think it was that one. I don't know. It's basically the same thing.
I don't think he was enough by himself. I'm going to put it like that. I didn't have an issue with how he looked. I thought it was the best they could do. But the character as a whole was not a strong enough villain for me. I feel like this movie didn't have... That's a good way for me to say it. The villains weren't strong enough, and I don't think the hero was strong enough either. I think they both deserved... Let me look for my words. More.
Yeah.
More effort, more time, more room to breathe. I feel like everything was moving really, really fast as far as establishing a hero and a villain. And Marvel has what I'm going to call a bad habit of having a villain in a film and then having another secret villain, right? So this film's main villain, I guess, would have been the leader, but then in other times it was, what's our guy's name? I have brain farts all over the place, no notes, just vibes.
You talking about Giancarlo Esposito's character? Yes. I can't remember his name.
Snapmaster? Stage Master?
Something about snakes.
Snake Master? Whatever his name was. He was a villain for a little while. Then it was a leader. Then, because he was violent and tore up, Sidewinder. Daniel? That's
Sidewinder, right. I was like, I knew it was a snake something. Like, and then Cottonmouth or Copperhead was also Copperhead? In this. That was the first dude he fought. That was whooping his...
I gotta go back to him. So first it was Sidewinder, then it was the leader, and then it ended up being the Red Hulk simply because he was the Red Hulk and he, caused so much destruction. That's a lot. That's a considerable amount of villainy for us to, or too many separate villains for us to try to have to pay attention to, for us to focus on the film. That's a lot of screen time for other characters who are not your name character. I would question how much screen time altogether they gave not just the Red Hulk, but the president himself, Sidewinder, and the leader. I'm confident that if you add up all that screen time, it's more than what Sam had. I don't think that's a good thing.
It's probably combined, for sure.
Definitely combined. If you combine the three, since they were their villains of the film, they gave the villains more screen time than they gave the title character. That has to be confusing to the viewer.
Yeah, I think that the plot of the villain plot could have been handled by Giancarlo Esposito's character, by Sidewinder. Like, he could have carried that entire plot by himself. They didn't need to have the leader to execute most of that. Like, that wasn't, I get it because it does tie directly into the Incredible Hulk. Like, that connection was established then, but the way the plot is written, it's too safe. And that was I said that in the Discord. Like, the whole movie is very safe. Like, they made the safest movie they possibly could that would be entertaining, that people would go watch. And that's definitely a criticism of mine, because there's nothing that happens that was unexpected. And I think that if you want to have like more of a special forces, spec ops, spy thriller type of movie, you don't need a super villain like the leader. Like, just like Winter Soldier, like Bucky was the lead. Like, he was a super soldier, but they kept it at that spec ops, special forces level. Like, it felt very grounded in like a plausible confrontation between two super soldiers, really, right? So like having Sam and Sidewinder go at it throughout the whole movie would have probably been better, because that's a believable conflict. Dang, Cameron, what are you doing? Lose focus. But yeah, like you understand? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I agree with you. Like, it was too many villains in the movie, and I think that Anthony Mackie actually across from Giancarlo Esposito is actually a really good pairing for the screen.
Agree. I also, because of reshoots, I don't know if you noticed, but all of the scenes with the leader, he's on the screen by himself. There is no one there with him except for when he is being arrested at the end of the film, and those shots are from behind. The reason why they don't have much chemistry is because for all of the scenes where you see the leader, I don't think that actor was actually there. Whatever they did in reshoots completely removed any continuity that they could have between those characters.
Do you know by chance like how much they spent on reshoots?
I don't know.
Because that would definitely help inform about, especially like having worked in the industry. I know, because if they spent like a couple, like 10 plus million, $10-20 million, more than that probably, like if they spent tens of millions on reshoots, then yeah, that would have definitely paid for like.
According to soapcentral.com, the reshoots might have cost around $300 million. Oh, no. Excuse me. The film
I was about to say that's
$180 million, and the reshoots pushed it to $300 million, meaning that the reshoots might have cost $120 million.
Okay, so that is extensive. That's a lot.
That's a lot
of reshoots. So that would definitely pay for the whoever the actor who played the leader. Definitely, If they changed his appearance, that would definitely be included in that
I mean,
$100
you got to
million. Because
think about
that's
prosthetics,
hair and
think about
makeup, special
time.
effects,
That's
prosthetics. Like that's
yeah.
something that they didn't have in the previous budget, so they would have had to come out of pocket for that. So like, yeah, I could see that if they spent if they spent over $100 million, like they basically reshot the entire movie.
So I want to get to something that you and I had chatted about yesterday, which I think is the overarching theme for all of the problems that we have for this film. But I do want to address what the captain's log said. He says, "Is it me or the leader, or did the leader not have enough contingencies? I don't even think he had a backup plan." I completely agree, which is why I'm going to say that this was a wasted character. I don't know what they originally had, but from these reshoots, this character is arguably one of the most intelligent people in the universe. I think they said Shuri's the smartest person in the universe. So he's got to be just below her, although his brain can do things that her mind might not be capable of. But yeah, for someone who is able to plan out so many different plans, he can't necessarily see the future, but he can predict the future. If I do this, then this will happen. But if I do this instead, this will happen. But if we do this and this, these will happen. He is capable of contemplating all of those possible ideas at the same exact time. And this character displayed none of that in this film. He was just a big-headed green dude that said big words every once in a while. I completely agree the captain's log, and I'm confident that our next topic is going to cover all of that. I wanted to save it for the end, but there's a huge chance that we're
in it.
Around it.
We're in it. We best would just address it. We don't.
I believe that Marvel wanted to downplay the fact that Captain America is now Black. We know that there are a lot of people who don't want to see Black superheroes. Yes, Black Panther was ridiculously successful, even Black Panther 2. But there are countries, cities around the world that view Marvel's movies, that love Marvel's movies, that do not like Black people. I'm confident, Coop and I are both confident that they reshot this film, they marketed this film, they presented this film in a way that would be palatable to other countries, other continents, and they completely ignored a very, very important piece of this character. I'm not saying that Captain America: Brave New World needed to be a Black film, but you can't hide that a character is Black. And if you chose to make Sam your Captain America, because at the end of the day, yeah, they could do whatever they want in the comics, but they did not have to make him Captain America. They could have chosen somebody else. They chose this Black man to be Captain America. And when they realized, some of these other countries might not like that, instead of just choosing to go with it and embrace it, they tried to hide it. So that's why the Red Hulk is in the trailer. That is why Red Hulk is in all of the posters, even though we don't see him until the end of the film. That is why, in my opinion, Sam doesn't get that much time on screen as Captain America in the suit fighting. And what concerns me is if they toned down this movie this much for us in America, what on earth are they showing in China? Because they're getting a different version of the movie than we're getting.
Yeah. That's definitely the elephant in the room. Like the problem is they addressed, well, no, I'm sorry, they acknowledged that he was Black, but they don't address it. And that's the problem. Like, you can't, the way it's written, it's like they want to acknowledge, but they're not going to go too far down that rabbit hole of what this really means, right? Like, they don't want to politicize the issue, but the fact that the fact that it is, it's too late. Like, you got to address it. You can't just act like this is okay or this is normal. Like, they're tiptoeing around certain issues with Isaiah, with Sam, with Danny Ramirez character. I guess he's Falcon now. Like, they put all the pieces in play, but nobody gets addressed. Like, they don't address any of the social political dynamics of this entire of Sam being Captain America. Like, there's a lot that they put in they put all the pieces on the board, but then try to pretend like, oh yeah, we just, they're just pieces on the board. Would you like? And that's just not going to fly. To your point about the China thing, like, what stood out to me was, like, something that really took me out was this forced conflict that they had between Japan and the United States. I'm like, that's why are we at odds with Japan? Like, where did this come from? I was very confused by this. Like, I paid attention to, like, the flags in the background at the White House, and it was like India, Japan, and I think in France. Like, what happened to Britain? Like, what happened? Like, it was such a weird geopolitical landscape that they put in place, and then this juxtaposition of the United States and Japan was like, did they just swap out Japan for China? Like, was China supposed to be the adversary? Because that makes way more sense to me than Japan being the adversary. And then I'm like, oh, they want to market this thing in China. That's why they're not going to put the US and China in a arms race for adamantium, because, oh, that hits too close to home. That's the same thing that they did with COVID and the pandemic, when the super soldier serum wasn't that linked to, like, some virus?
Yes. So the original plot for Captain America, for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, was that there was a disease that tore up the planet, killed a whole bunch of people, and that the wealthy had a vaccine and were, for lack of better terms, hoarding it and not sharing it with the people. That was the original plot of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And of course, COVID happens, and they realize this is hitting a little too close to home. We need to go ahead and change that. And so all of the issues that you would have had with Falcon and the Winter Soldier are easily explained by that. They completely changed the story. They did do some reshoots, but they didn't necessarily change the story. They just took away the virus plot. So it left a bunch of holes. It left people confused. It had some great fight scenes, but we didn't understand why people were fighting. I have a slightly different opinion from you, although I do agree with what you're saying about Marvel trying to avoid geopolitical turmoils in order to push the movies to China. I don't think that matters, because in my opinion, they shouldn't be promoting a film with a Black main character to China if they already know that Black characters don't perform well. We know that Black Panther made over $2 billion. That film only made $100 million. Did I say billion? It made $2 billion, and it made $100 million in China. $100 million is not small. But if you think about how many people are over there, that's pennies. They were not as interested in seeing a Black character. And you know what? That's okay. We understand. We respect that. And Marvel, I would think, expected it also, and therefore marketed the movie to people who would care. Now, I don't think it would have been appropriate for Captain America: A Brave New World to be a Black film the way the Black Panther was. Two completely different stories. But one embraced that a character is Black, and another avoided the conversation completely. You can't hide us. You can't not see color when it comes to Black people in film. Time has proven that unless you work really, really, really hard to promote it, whether to Black people or to everyone, because Black Panther did not make $2 billion just because Black people saw it. They had to work overtime to make sure that other races would go to see that film also. You can't just not do that when you now have a Black Captain America. If anything, they should have put in even more work. You can't hide your character. People look at him, they see he's Black. Embrace that your character is Black. You can't hide it. We can't try to get money from a country that we know doesn't want to support a Black Captain America, because they don't want to support any Black superhero films. It's just not what they want to do. They don't want to see it. They don't want to spend their money on it. So why are we fighting so hard for their attention? When there's a whole bunch of people right here and in other countries, I'm not going to sit here and say that this is a global issue. It's not. It's really closed down to only a few countries with a bunch of people in them with a lot of money to spend that don't want to see a Black Captain America.
I mean, that's like 60% of the world's population in that region. So like, I mean, it is and that's what they see. Like, oh, 60% of the world's population is here. How do we make this movie appealing to them? Or how do we not offend them? And that's just not how Hollywood used to operate. Like, Hollywood marketed to the Western audiences. Like, that's normally what they do. Like, we've seen, this is the pivot. Like, it's just capitalism. It's just money. Like, they see the potential earnings in an Asian market and go, oh, we need that. Like, and they're willing to make compromises and sacrifices on storytelling in order to make money in a market that may not like have any interest in this type of content, just point blank period, no matter how you slice it. Like, they're not interested. And that's the wall they keep running into and continue to try to break through. And it's like, at some point you got to realize that maybe the material just isn't for that market. So just don't, like you said, like make the movie for who you intended to make it for, and like it will support itself.
Trying to
make a good story.
Yeah.
Just make a good story.
Palatable for other countries, because this is not a race thing. This is more a countrywide community thing, right? People from many other countries don't support our race. So when I say it's not a race thing, I'm saying like the entire country won't watch or doesn't want to watch a Black character on TV. That's as a countrywide community. I'm losing the words. They're not interested in us, right? And there's a few countries that are very big like that. Trying to make this film palatable for those markets, already knowing that they don't want to see the character, is like inviting a vegan person to eat barbecue. They at the barbecue restaurant, they looking at the menu and there's meat in everything. There's meat in the beans. There's meat on the corn. There's meat somehow in the macaroni and cheese. They put meat in the pickles. You don't even know how they got meat in there, but they figured out how to put pork salt on the pickles. And no, there's nothing there for that vegan to eat. They could drink water. They don't want to drink water. They don't want to eat any meat at all. They made it very clear, hey, I'm vegan. There's nothing for me in this restaurant. Oh, but we'll wipe the pork off the corn cob. What's another side? We use bacon fat in the cornbread, but you can't see it.
It's already in there. It's too late.
I can smell it. And actually there's pieces of pork on the bottom from when you poured the drippings in. Just don't look at it. But it's right there. And if I eat it, I'm gonna get sick because I really don't want to eat this. I can't eat this actually. It might even kill me. I've made it very clear to you I don't want to eat this. Inviting a pig to a barbecue. I don't know. If the barbecue is Black people, what's the pig?
Yeah, that's where it was. Yeah, that's where it breaks down. Because that's like, yeah, no, we're not. I get that was I get it, but no, that's because that's like if we didn't go watch the movie, that'd be because it was black people in it. If black people didn't go see the movie because there were black people in it, that would be the more appropriate analogy, I think.
Inviting I don't want to get political today. That's to me that's like
But
inviting
I mean,
people
the
associated with
problem
oh, you got it.
that's the issue. Like it is very apparent that there were revisions made. Possibly, I don't know if there were revisions made to the script. There were reshoots, so I'm assuming there were revisions to the script. But there were changes, there were decisions that were made that were safe decisions to make, that there were punches pulled that would have actually landed well because they may have been controversial, and that controversial content would have probably brought more people to the theater who understand the nature of that issue, right? Like this is localized politics, right? This is regional politics. This is a very Western issue, right? Like, so it's going to play better in Western audience because it's relatable. I don't know what type of internal political drama happens in Asia, but I'm pretty sure that they have the same types of issues that we have with different ethnic groups, and certain yeah, they might be controversial, but they'll still hit because they're relatable. Like you've seen that, you know what that looks like. We know what this looks like here in the United States. We know people in Britain know what this looks like. People in the Western, the prominent nations in the West understand what that dynamic is and what the issues that we're speaking on are, what they look like, because we all, come on camera, we all have experienced it in some form or fashion. That's not to say that it doesn't happen over there. I don't know what happens over there, and that's the problem, right? Like you're trying to make issues in a story that are really Western pop over in an Eastern market that may not understand that dynamic at all. And then on to your point, like don't even half the issue they don't even support in the first place. Like like they don't want to see that. They don't want to see us in there at all. So like you're not making
to piggyback off what Dan said.
Didn't that movie do well over there?
No, it did not get released in China at all because Simu Liu was honest about his parents' experience in China and why they left.
Isn't he from Isn't he from Hong Kong? Or his parents from Hong Kong? Anyway,
I don't know where in China they are from, but he said in an interview what his parents' life was like and why they left the country. And Chinese officials did not like that and did not allow the film to be played in China. So this is
our point.
This is who we're trying to appeal to.
It's like you're not going to appeal to this market. Like these movies aren't going to land over there, so just leave it alone.
The censorship of Captain America Brave New World is the reason why we don't see Sam as much on screen. It's the reason why they boosted these villains so much. It's the reason why maybe because we don't know who the original main villain was supposed to be, right? But it's the reason why Sidewinder didn't have as much screen time. It's the reason why the leader looks the way he looks. It's the reason why the Hulk was hyped so much in advertisements to only be in one fight sequence. Now, granted, it's really, really good fight, but he was not the main villain in the film, and he's on every single poster. That's a problem. You have your Captain America on a poster with his face in a helmet, only showing his eyes. He's the leader of your film. Chris Evans was not on any posters covered. I think there was one poster where he was doing the bad bee, where he was like, he had his back, he was looking over his shoulder. That and the
I
thing was
think,
behind him.
yeah, I think only in the first movie did he have the helmet on in the
After that,
poster.
they showed his face.
Yeah,
You
it was the face every time.
hide that you chose a black Captain America. You only have one true option, and that's to embrace it. Otherwise, this happens. And the movie, in my opinion, is not going to do well over there anyway. Let's see if we can get current box office numbers, if it's even out.
Yeah, I doubt very seriously that it will be. They haven't had success with.
They haven't had success over there
at
in a
all.
very long
Like
time.
I don't. It's
Now
very
made-
rare that a Western movie has success over in the Asian market, primarily because like there's significant differences in our cultures. like their movies can be successful, but nothing is going to blow up like and become like a regional success over there. Just like there's not many Chinese films that have like a lot of like make millions of dollars in the United States. Like it's the markets, like it's the regional it's cultural regional differences in just how we approach life. Like Eastern society and Western society are very different in a lot of ways. A lot of similarities, but a lot of differences too. So like even if you take out like the issues of race, like culturally there are significant differences between Eastern and Western ideologies. So like, damn, what is wrong with this camera, man?
So Daniel Fisher, what they want is for their stars and the people they see on their film screens to appeal to their beauty standards. His Anthony Mackie's face could have been perfectly symmetrical. It wasn't gonna do it. He was still black.
Too dark.
They don't want us over there. He could have the perfect face. Maybe they make $1 extra $1 million, but that's about it. Right now, the biggest film in China and the biggest film in the world is Ne Zha 2. It's an animated film that has completely taken the world by storm. I don't know for sure if it's hit US theaters yet, or if it has, it's happened this weekend, but it has currently made, I think it might be the highest ticket selling animated film of all time. I believe it just passed Inside Out 2. So while these people are doing over $100,000 worth of reshoots to make a film more palatable to the Eastern world, they are preparing to drop the biggest animated film of all time that's on every single IMAX screen in China. Every single IMAX screen in China is playing Ne Zha 2. They don't even care.
Yeah, different world.
I argue that maybe they don't need to. I will never ever force myself, my skin, anything about myself onto anyone who doesn't want me. If the Eastern world has made it clear, hey, we're not really interested in seeing Black people on our screens, cool. I'm totally okay with that. Thank you so much for the honesty. We're not going to consider you in our decision making then. We now know that if we are going to produce a film, we have to do it without them in mind. And what bothers me the most is we already know we can. Black Panther, now I will say, Black Panther is a bit of a gem in itself. It would be a dream for us to do that again, numbers wise. But there are other films. Black Panther 2 was still fantastic and made way more than Captain America Brave New World may ever make in theaters. And it was still, it still made way over their budget. It did well. It performed well. And I think that movie only made $5 million in China. See?
What?
Black Panther 2. Black Panther 2.
Well, I mean, it's
China.
It's a shared issue between Marvel and I think Star Wars at this point. Like they got to get back to appealing to their core audience. Like I don't know what else to tell you. Like It's the core audience, the people who have been lifelong fans of these franchises that are going to carry the torch marketing wise and get people to go see movies. Like people go see movies because of people that they know, or people on YouTube who review this stuff, who know what they're talking about when it comes to these franchises, going like, yo, this is incredible, blah 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 blah. And that's what gets them to go. It's not going to be a movie trailer, it's not going to be a social media campaign or anything of that nature. It's going to be word of mouth. It's going to be people like us and people like anyone else on the internet that gets on the camera and talks about this stuff to our audiences, however big or small they may be, that will convince people to go see these movies. That's what happens. That's what happened with Black. I mean, almost any single $1 billion box office success, Avatar, like all of these movies that cross that threshold were primarily because of the audience and the fan base who supports these franchises telling people to go watch it, dragging their friends to go watch it, like seeing it multiple times, like until they can,
I don't know how many times I saw Avatar.
until they like they have to realize at some point that that's what they have to do. Like as long as it is true to the franchise and to the like the overall vision of the franchise that their core audiences can relate to and can recognize and appreciate, that's what gets people excited to go see these properties, like point blank period. Like if people in Asian markets don't read comic books, why do you think they're going to go see these movies? Like if they don't read Western comic, if they don't read Marvel and DC, I don't know. I'm not saying they do or they don't. But if they don't have, if there's not a big following of Marvel and DC comics or Star Wars or whatever franchise, insert your favorite franchise here in those markets, I don't see how you believe a movie or a TV show is going to do that. Like the content's already out there. It exists. Like if the fans haven't gravitated towards it, they don't have a fan base there yet. Like I don't think you can make a movie or a TV show that will pull them.
So the Captain's Log says this is how they're planning to do Black characters moving forward. I completely agree, but I don't think the reason is the same as what we are discussing right now. If we push the Asian market aside for a second, and I hate to get political, but unfortunately, everything that's happening in America right now is for one very specific reason. There are people in places of power who don't want to see people of color doing anything anywhere. And this whole label of DEI and woke is going to have an effect on art as long as the people in money making decision seats allow it to. So I don't want to say that this has affected this particular film that much, because all of these reshoots, everything that we're discussing right now, happened before the election. But I would not be surprised if either we see Black characters getting severely mishandled, or if we simply don't see them moving forward. So the Captain's Log is right. This is how I think it's going to get worse. I'm also concerned about them bringing Jonathan Majors back. Jonathan Majors has a passion project that's about to come out soon that I think everybody should support. And I would hope that he is able to move forward in his career without the Disney bubble and umbrella for now. The film that's going to come out was a smaller film, didn't have a big budget. I want to see him in more things like this. I want him in roles that are going to get him recognition from his peers, from the Academy, from different guilds. That's what I want for him. I don't know if I trust the beast that is Disney and Marvel right now with our characters. Now, that being said, do I think Disney and Marvel have a really strong future going forward? Absolutely. I don't think Thunderbolts is going to be bad. I also don't think the Fantastic Four is going to be bad. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're going to produce really good films, and they're going to set up the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward for some really new, cool, and innovative things. I'm simply saying that we might not be as prevalent in it as before. And if we are, we're not going to be handled well. I completely agree. So, and
oh man,
I don't want to talk about politics right now. It is truly exhausting and it is tiring. But this current administration and the people that support this current administration have their hands in way more things than we know. And I think that people should pay attention to how shows and films and things are handled going forward. Pay attention to what studios are putting out. Don't necessarily view all of Hollywood as a whole. Pay attention. This studio had this on their slate and now this movie is gone. Or they've removed this person from this film. Or, oh, you know what? Wow, I'm surprised to see that this movie is still moving forward at this studio. This studio might be trustworthy. Maybe we can, pay attention to what they're doing. Maybe they're not as connected or are not trying to allow their art to be affected. That's as deep as I want to get into the politics because, like I said, I'm tired. Let's see what happens with that Iron Man film.
I think now, okay, well, I'll say I think that it's less likely that type of recasting would happen in mass, but subject matter, I believe, is definitely going to get diluted.
Absolutely.
Significantly. I think that's more than it's more than a certainty at this point. Like I think to me it's the acknowledging but not addressing that happened in this movie that will be the trend going forward. Like, and that's what's frustrating because it's like, don't present this as if this is something that you're going to address if you're not going to address it. Like, I'd much rather you just make a movie and skirt past and just pretend like, oh, this is just normal, than to say, hey, I know this is an issue, and then just leave it right there. Like, that's crazy. Like, because that's kind of what happens in this movie a lot. Like, there's ideas, there's situations that are put forth that should be addressed, right? They're only acknowledged, and then they just move the hell on. And it's like, yo, if you're gonna do that, you could have just ran with your action theme and just put Sam at the star, and he's like a typical action hero, like, and just leave it at that. But don't inject these political themes if you have no intentions of addressing them directly and tackling them. Like, that to me is that right there is just a slap in the face, and it's disingenuous. And like,
if you don't want me, be honest about it and push me to the side. Let me go to somebody.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you know what? We don't feel like
along.
Yeah, we don't feel like addressing this, so we're just gonna, not move forward with this project. Cool. Like, but don't basically half-ass it.
I still don't understand what the heck happened with Blade. Vampires Dude,
Like that
that's
right
the
there
movie.
that is an absolute
That's the
mystery.
movie. Yo,
Because
it's
that one right
vampires.
there, and that's exactly what that's a movie that don't have to address none of that. It can just be black as hell, and it's Blade just killing vampires. Like I don't, what's happening? Like I don't get it. That
That's
was
all
lost on me.
original
That
movies were.
one is an easy win. That's one like those old school like 90s 80s 90s action style movies that don't get into any of this, like
Outside
it's just
of
people running around saying crazy lines and killing people. Like that's just leave it at that if you don't want to get into it.
did did Wesley Snipes ever even say he was black in any of the films? Like, is there any
No,
acknowledgement?
they
No.
never. That's what I'm saying. It's never acknowledged or addressed. It just happens. You just have to. You just
Man,
you
one
know
thing Americans love is violence and guns. Put
they don't.
Mahershala Ali, give him a widow's peak and a high top fade, give him some big guns and have him shoot stuff. Make it rated R. That's the movie. That's all it needs to be. That's
I'm
it.
trying to did
The movie is on hiatus right now. They have no plans for it, no nothing.
what's the Martin Lawrence? I mean not Martin Lawrence. Eddie Murphy vampire movie.
Vampire in Brooklyn. Oh Lord, don't stress me out.
Which came, did Blade come out first or did that movie come out first? Because ain't too many black vampire movies ever that come out. Those are the only two I can think of off the top of my head.
1995. It was Vampire in Brooklyn. Blade
98.
98. I'm glad Eddie got that out first because that would have been terrible if it came out the other way around.
But that's what I mean. Yeah, it would have been a parody, right? Like it would have been it looked like a terrible parody. But like there's nothing about, they don't acknowledge anything or address anything. It just is what it is. And they just let
okay
it. That's what I'm saying. Like don't, but if you decide to clearly put an issue at the forefront and then never commit to addressing that, like that's just a slap in the face to me. Like just go. It would have been just as fine if it would have just been Sam chasing Giancarlo Esposito the entire movie, trying to uncover who's what these pills are, and then the final fight with Ray. Like if that was the movie, it would have been just fine. Because you're just throwing Captain America doing Captain America things. We're not going to do it that way, or tackle the problem head on. But don't do this.
The first Captain America film was about a world war. So there was some geopolitical stuff going on in the film. But after that, Captain America was an American film about American issues. I would argue both in a way are civil wars. One side wants right, one side wants this, one side wants that. They both think they're right. That's the overarching theme for both Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Captain America Civil War. They were both technically civil wars within both films. That's absolutely what could have happened here.
And so to that point, right? Yeah, you have a world war, but we already the victor has already been decided. We know the outcome of that, and we know what side. Like we know how that turns out. And then the second is deep state conspiracy stuff, right? Where like that's conspiracy theory, fun entertainment. Nobody takes any of that stuff. I won't say nobody, but like a lot of people write that off as just conspiracy, like entertaining, normal, can't trust the government. Like that's the American thing. Like, like you can't have America can't make a James Bond. Like you have to have a Jason Bourne. Like,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like
yes,
we not buying James Bond. Like. But a Jason Bourne, yes, 100%, because that's that thing, right? And so like that's why that play worked right? But now when you decide to like, oh, okay, let's make you uncomfortable and address some of these issues that we don't really have resolution for, oh, now it's a problem.
Right.
And that's what the problem is. Like that's what they don't want to step on. But it's like you already put your foot in the door, so you may as well walk through. You know?
Fisher says Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible. I would say that Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible and what's his name? Jason Bourne. I think they're two sides of the same coin. It's deep state spy thrillers. One just has more plane jumping out of than the other.
But to that point though, like that Mission Impossible, that box office started to climb when they made that shift to, oh, he can't trust the government. Like once it became deep state conspiracy, like, oh, there's a government within the government that's doing all this type of nefarious things, and you don't know who to trust. Like, oh, box office numbers went through the roof, and they've been on that angle ever since.
Daniel
so
Fisher,
they basically just turned him into Jason Bourne, you know,
just with more stunts.
Yeah, with way more stunts.
Daniel Fisher asked, "What's the latest on Denzel in the MCU?" I would be pleasantly surprised if Denzel's character is seen in anything outside of the next Black Panther film, even a following one. Denzel has made it clear that he is ready to retire. He has his next few years planned out. And if I were him, I would not have any time for Marvel's nonsense. They signing people on for 30-year contracts, 10 films, this amount of money. He ain't got time for that. I think he's about ready to retire. So I think we're going to see him in the Black Panther film, and I don't think we'll see him again.
Yeah, it would be a short-term deal at the most. It would be a one movie, very impactful character, but he'd be one and done at this point. Because what is the time? Where's that even slated right now for? So it's not even on a roadmap. So yeah, ain't no way you get more than one movie out of Denzel for Marvel.
Like, I would even be surprised. I don't want to say I'll be surprised. I would not be surprised if the movie is finally getting made and he's no longer a part of the project, just because of how they handle things in time. When
the lead time on these things are crazy.
Say they tired and they ain't doing nothing. They're tired and they ain't doing nothing, and there's not that much you could do to get them out. And God help us when Samuel Jackson reaches his point and says, "I'm tired and I'm not doing this anymore." Denzel as Magneto never happened.
And just as working in the industry, I can tell you right now that anything that they say is happening after like a year from now is complete BS. Like they have no idea. Like there's way too many variables that could go wrong, even in the best case scenario. Like nobody has that much lead time. I'm sorry. Like you see something on the roadmap for like 27 or 28 release, like don't even believe that's a real thing. Like they still got to get through 2025 and 2026 without any hiccups and issues, and we don't know. There's too much uncertainty. Like,
to me, a movie is not coming out until I have purchased a ticket. Once I have a ticket purchased, I'm confident the movie is coming out. Other than that, it ain't happening.
Yeah, until honestly though, until you've seen like not a teaser, like an official trailer, then it's
no. These official trailers can't be trusted. They've pushed movies back from an official trailer.
Oh, it can get pushed. It can get pushed back, but it's coming out somewhere, some shape or form. It's because that means they've already spent the money on distribution. So if they got a trailer out, then they've spent money on distribution. So it's coming out some way, somehow. So,
I don't get excited, or I don't allow myself to get excited until a ticket has been purchased, only because with the pain of a movie getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and then you finally see the movie, you say, "This is what y'all done stressed me out for all this time for." Nah, I don't care how many trailers I've seen. I'm not going, "Oh, this is great. I'm ready to see this," till I buy a ticket. And then God help us when we buy a ticket and then they push a movie back after.
Yeah. See, the Batgirl situation is they were victims to ownership changing hands, and the new ownership just didn't want anything to do with the previous ownership had. So, like, as far as they were concerned, what the money that the previous ownership spent wasn't their money and it wasn't their problem. So that's why a lot of that stuff got shuffled around. And unfortunately for everyone who was involved with that project, like, and all the other projects within the DC um, that got canceled during that transition of power, like they were victims of circumstances beyond their control. Because even if you put the film out, like at that point, you've already paid for distribution, you've already like it's slated to go. You can put the movie out, it's going to do what it's going to do in the theaters, then it's going to go on streaming, and then it's, you're going to print however many copies uh, of DVDs, and those are going to sell. You'll make your money back eventually. Over it might take a few years, but you'll eventually make that money back. They just completely said screw what they were doing. Like, we want a clean slate, so whatever they did, we don't want to be responsible for the fallout of. So we're just going to cancel all of that and do our own thing, and we'll see how that works. Because that Superman trailer looked a little.
You didn't like it? I thought it looked nice. I appreciated that it didn't look like what they were doing before. When I'm gonna say something that I think y'all were mad at me before, and I'm okay with that. I didn't hate Jared Leto's Joker. No one can be Heath Ledger, and so any attempt to replicate it would have simply failed. I appreciated that they went in a completely different direction, and I didn't think that Joker was too far off from what a Joker could be today anyway. So I was okay with it. So that being said, I'm comfortable with the new DCEU, whatever it is, bringing on a completely different Superman and also Metropolis than we've seen.
That's not the Superman to me is just not a good character. He's just not a compelling character.
I feel like we've had that conversation before.
Yeah, like it's tough for me to convince. Like, it's tough to convince me to appreciate Superman because he's just not a good. He's just not good. He's not an interesting character. Like, they had to create all of these weird weaknesses just to make him like balanced. Because they made him way too powerful from the jump. Like, nobody was thinking about, like, oh, maybe this isn't. He's got to have some sort of weakness, and they just kind of made stuff up on the fly, and like he's not that compelling. He's just not that compelling.
I'm mad at it. I will say, I think having a whole bunch of aliens attacking Metropolis all the time and having Superman have to save Metropolis all the time from that might be a better look from the character, better look for the character, and maybe this movie can turn that around. Daniel Fisher asked if Leto's Joker is better than Morbius. I don't know if y'all remember, but I didn't hate Morbius as much as everybody did.
I don't understand the hate for Morbius either. I thought that was a pretty good movie.
Oh, I understand it. I just enjoyed it.
It was better than a lot of the stuff they were putting out around the time, though.
I haven't. Have you seen was it Kraven the Hunter? I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen that either. No, I haven't seen it. I'm way behind on a lot of the video content and movie content. Like, I don't know what's going on with most of that.
The only films that superhero films that I have not seen are Kraven the Hunter, and I did not watch the Spider-Woman movie. What was the name of it? I feel bad. Whatever the name of the Spider-Woman movie was with Madam Web. I didn't watch Madam Web, y'all. Sorry. I didn't have it in me. I will watch it. I can commit to watching it because at some point when we get JBM back on here, we have some Marvel movies to rank. There's at least 6 movies not on our list. More than 6 actually. We've got to rank them. And
I didn't see Madam Web. I didn't
I
watch
didn't
that.
see Adam Web or Craven the Hunter. I'm confident those are the only superhero movies I've missed. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't know. I think that's it for me.
The Captain's Log.
I don't know. That feels like it because I haven't heard anybody say anything remotely close to that.
I don't remember anybody talking about it in the Discord. I feel like we all saw that trailer and was like, nah.
That was rough. It's like that ain't going nowhere.
Daniel, I wanted to go back to something you said. You mentioned you want to see Denzel as Magneto. For the sake of Black people being harassed on the internet, please don't do it, Marvel. Please don't do it. They're just going to tear us down. Just leave us out of it. Although Denzel is one of those actors that I do feel is more palatable by our white counterparts. Anytime now a character's race has changed, we get attacked on the internet and we didn't even do nothing. We didn't make that decision. They still harassing people about the fan casting of Keke Palmer as Rogue, and it didn't even happen. Leave us out of it. I'm okay. We don't need to be there.
That would be wild.
Please leave us alone. Leave us alone. I do think he's more than capable of killing the role, but for our safety, no. In fact,
it genuinely depends on what how they're going to handle the X-Men in 616. Because I think that the character, I think Denzel's I think he's just too old. Depends on how old they want to make Magneto though. But like, it would be so weird to have. I don't know how they would do that, to have him be that age when we haven't seen any like signs of mutants in the 616 ever.
I don't,
except for like during the Sokovia Accords. So like he shouldn't be. That would be such a, to me that would be such a stretch because they haven't hinted at it. Like,
so Marvel has a huge problem after the success of Endgame and all of these people coming together and existing in the same universe on screen at the same time. Marvel now has the problem that the fans are expecting this. So now they can't peacefully just make a movie about some characters without people saying, well, what happened to this? Like with the Celestial popping out of the ocean at the end of the Eternals, how many movies went by before they finally addressed it? And we are fairly upset about it. I would even argue that some people didn't even like how it was addressed in this movie. There was no tidal wave. He's there and he got adamantium and we didn't address that. I don't know if I want to anymore in this conversation. I really don't. Maybe we can save it for a different stream. But I said all that to say Marvel has a huge problem on their hands. They can't just make a movie in peace anymore. Everybody wants everything to be related. It's very clear the Fantastic Four takes place in the past. Whatever they do in this movie isn't going to be enough for people to not come on YouTube like we're doing right now and go on rants for a couple hours. Can they do enough? Because it takes place in the past, but when are they getting up here? When are we going to see them with the other characters? When are they going to do this? When are they going to do that?
Yeah, in certain the X-Men is going to be tough. Because that is a extremely popular sub franchise of Marvel. Because the X-Men are standalone for a lot of people, like especially 80s and 90s kids. Like the X-Men are like, for a lot of people that are our age, that were born in the 80s and 90s, the X-Men were your introduction into comics. Like they were for me. Like, if it wasn't for the X-Men animated show, like, I wouldn't have the interest in comic books that I have. Like that was the gateway. So that's a tough one. I don't envy them.
I don't either.
Because it's like, ooh, that's a tough right.
That
right
is a
there.
very, very tough one. And good luck to him.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to judge him too harshly. I do want to give kudos to DC for recognizing the gem that they have with Robert Pattinson's Batman, and leaving it as its own thing. Even though they've hinted on trying to bring the universes together, I hope they don't. I love the Penguin. It was fantastic for what it was. I'm okay with them having too little, that one little universe is its own thing. It's fantastic. It's well written. It's beautiful. And all that other stuff is all that other stuff. Marvel and Disney could really learn from that. For Star Wars, especially. I just had to bring that up. All the Star Wars characters being the same and relating to everything, and then we're only picking timelines that are around the time where Darth Vader is alive, whether before or after he goes to the dark side. We're running out of space to put stories here, and you're not leaving Tatooine. Pick another planet.
Yeah, that was honestly that was also an issue that the EU faced. The old extended universe had too. It's like they couldn't get away from the Skywalker legacy. Like it was bad. It got to a point where it got really bad. Like
I don't think it's not. I don't think they've done it. What's the most successful thing they've had recently? Ahsoka. She's a direct line off.
Recently, it would have been, but like the Old Republic, and even they really dropped the ball with the High Republic, because that was egregious. But like the Old Republic, for a lot of fans, like the Old Republic was the first attempt, was a big step away from the Skywalker saga, because there's literally no legacy characters in that at all, because it's so far in the past that like they created a whole bunch of new characters, which appealed to me because it's like, oh, okay, like there's not going to be a Skywalker that saves the day this time. Like, what's going to happen? Who are the heroes? And so you get a whole bunch of different heroes. And so Marvel and Star Wars definitely could benefit from that. Another point I wanted to make, I did appreciate that Falcon and the Winter Soldier didn't play that big of a factor in this movie. There were basically what you learned the connection between Sam and Isaiah in that series, but like that overarching story didn't play that much of a factor into this movie, which I think was a good decision, because I feel like Marvel and Star Wars have gotten to the point where like viewership feels like homework. So you gotta see all of these different things in order to understand what's going on. And that's not fun.
I agree. I just think they made the wrong choices with this film, because yes, they didn't need to see a whole bunch of other things to understand it, but there was still a bit too much happening here that could absolutely confuse viewers. But I completely agree. And also, it's his first Captain America film. I even feel that maybe Falcon might have gotten a little too much shine. Let that happen at the end of the film. Let him suit up when they finally have that fight around the Celestial. We didn't need
that's a good point. In the jungle.
We needed to see more of Sam. I feel strongly of that. It's his first film. He should have been the prominent character.
Which I thought is that was also such an interesting. That was so interesting to me. Like, not to jump back into political things again, but I got to address the fact that they didn't have a problem. They didn't. Well, they did have a problem with going to take out a cartel in Mexico.
At all.
No issue there. I mean, legit Navy SEALs in Mexico taking on the cartel with Captain America.
That concerns me. That makes me feel like,
with no involvement with the Mexican government anywhere. I didn't see any representatives of the Mexican government. Hell, they weren't even at the table for the adamantium conversation. Like it's to me, that's just wild.
That concerns me, and that makes me feel like what I mentioned earlier, and like, kind of warning people to say like, hey, pay attention, this current administration might have hands in more things than we know. That makes a lot of sense. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
But we gotta swap China for Japan. It like that makes no sense to me. I'm sorry. Like that took me out of it so much. Like
we could have left them out of it completely. We could have absolutely left them out of it completely. They didn't even need to be represented at all. Find another way. Because we know for a fact they're not going to go all in and include China in the way that we felt they should have. So just ignore, like completely leave that area alone, especially if your main character is Black. Marvel films have continued to decline in success in China specifically. And we keep mentioning China because China is a huge market for American film. But our Marvel and Disney, I don't want to say Disney, Marvel's films are continuing to decline there. Something over there has happened where they are not liking our films as much. Now, I'll also say the most successful Marvel film over there was Endgame, but Endgame was the most successful Marvel film everywhere. And I don't think Marvel is going to find that level of success anytime soon. I don't think they can count on that anymore. You have to figure out something else to do. I don't want to beat a dead horse anymore, but I think that's it. So going back to my original point that I started with, I don't think this is a bad film, but I think poor choices were made for this character. And it makes me nervous about the future of this character. I don't think another Captain America film with Sam Wilson as Captain America that's handled the same way can be successful. They have to make changes. They absolutely have to make changes.
Or they should just move away from the solo projects. Just as a whole, like these introductory projects, like introduce a character, but they don't need solo movies. Like keep the.
I don't agree, because make the solo movie, just do a good job. It's not like they're incapable. Like let's go back to Shang-Chi.
But do you think the audiences are going to go back to the theater to see? Because you got Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Captain America, Fantastic Four. You got to have X-Men in there. You got to have, like Wanda she's somewhere.
So no,
like there's a lot of people. Like
I think
it's way too big now.
Avengers no longer need their own films. We don't need another Thor, and I'm talking about the original characters as we saw them before, with those people, with the people playing them, with those names. We don't need another Thor. We don't need any more Iron Man. We don't need any more of that Captain America. I would argue we don't need much more Hulk. Daniel Fisher says the new Hulk project is coming. I heard about it a little bit.
I don't see the reason.
I don't even know if I want it.
I don't see the reason.
Marvel is trying really, really, really hard to hold on to something that was already successful. Let it go and do something different. Now, I do completely agree. They, teased all of these new young characters and they want to do new young things, but the people weren't too interested in them. Like Riri Williams is Ironheart, a new character as far as comics go. And all of a sudden she has her own TV show. She's in Black Panther 2 and she's going to be featured in films. Is that a good idea?
Just make the Young Avengers.
Well,
and then if Young Avengers does well, then you can give them their own movies. Like, just do it that way. Like, we don't need to build characters individually to lead up to an ensemble film and then go back to individual. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work too.
I question. Do you think they could successfully make Young Avengers?
With if they would have to tie the Avengers into it, but Like they would have to use the Avengers to introduce the Young Avengers. They've done it pretty well because if I'm not mistaken, Spider-Man kind of goes back and forth between the two anyway. Like he's kind of like the liaison between
the Avengers and the Young Avengers.
Yeah, like just put them in there with Spider-Man. Put the Young Avengers in there with Spider-Man and the Defenders, and introduce them that way. Ensemble cast led by Spider-Man. Get it? Introduce a whole bunch of people to these characters because nobody who watched. How many people watched Hawkeye?
I did. I enjoyed it.
You got Ironheart coming. You got what happened to Secret Wars with Don Cheadle and War Machine, because he was supposed to have his own TV show or movie or something. Where did that go? That went somewhere.
It's about to be the same place where Blade is. It's about to be the same.
It's definitely in that same type of.
The Captain's Log. I hate that suit. And I hated that they put the braids in the helmet.
That is a wild choice.
That's very interesting. I have never seen a helmet with braids.
Very interesting choice. There are decisions that get made that are just like, okay.
So my problem is, when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and it comes to me as a fan, I want them to make good films, and I know what they're capable of, and I know what's not realistic. I don't think them making a good Young Avengers film anytime soon is realistic. I also don't think a solo Riri Williams project is going to be as successful because of how they've been treating their other Black characters. Or F that, because of how Echo went down. The show was great, but did they give it the energy that it deserved? Absolutely.
That was actually a really good show. Like, I believe it. But like, she's also a Young Avenger, and it's like you created, they did it backwards. Like, why do these independent projects with these characters that are not really well known, because Marvel doesn't even promote these characters all that well, because Marvel Comics leans into their big blockbuster heroes constantly. Like, they have been doing that their entire existence. Same with DC. Like, if it's not Batman, Superman, or Iron Man and Captain America and Spider-Man, and like, they don't get the same publicity. So like, a lot of people, you have to be really into the comics to know who these characters are and appreciate them. So why even start the introduction in an individual solo project where most people don't even know who these characters are? Like, that's why, like, to me, assemble the Young Avengers and put them in a big franchise like a Spider-Man movie, or like they would have been perfect in Spider-Man, like with Tom Holland. Like, all of them, like, trying to, like, the Avengers are off doing something and something goes down in New York, and he's the one that puts this team together. It's Spider-Man, and people love Tom Holland, and you bring all these characters in who get a chance to showcase like what their powers are and what they can do.
I'm thinking of the characters that they have already introduced for who are Young Avengers potential, and I'm so sorry. There's so many women and so many people of color. I don't know how the heck they're like. I want to be honest about what is making money and what they are being careful with and treating with care, and also marketing. We have the indigenous girl from Echo. We have the Latino woman, Miss America. America, the character's
Miss Marvel.
And she has not Miss Marvel. She's Pakistani from New Jersey. The woman who was introduced in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the girl who could go in between universes.
Oh yeah.
Her, Miss Marvel, Elijah Bradley. We have the girl from Hawkeye. That's 4 women already. We said Tom Holland goes in and out. Who else? I'm missing people. Oh, and the 2 boys from from, or really the one, because we didn't get to meet Billy yet.
America Chavez. That's right.
America Chavez and Wiccan from Agatha All Along. We never talked about that. I really enjoyed Agatha All Along. But anyway,
I haven't seen that.
That's 3.
They also play like the Young Avengers and the X-Men do stuff together too. That's another segue introduction. And then you got I forgot about what was the X-Men movie that Fox did that nobody apparently liked, but I thought it was pretty good.
I still watch it if I can. I thought that was really good.
The series.
The series.
It wasn't a series on FX. I could have swore.
Oh, with
not Cloak and Dagger.
Legion?
They were in like the insane asylum, and I think Anya Taylor-Joy was one of the characters.
That was a movie.
That was a movie. Okay.
Oh,
Legion 2. I forgot about that too. Yeah.
That's too many characters. And I hate to talk like this, but they've made it very clear they're not going to treat people of color with care. They made it very clear that they're not going to treat their women-led films with care. So as a fan of Marvel who just wants them to put out good stuff, if they're not going to treat them the way that they should and give them the shot that they deserve, then I don't want them to bother with making it. Like, don't make another Captain America movie like this. Don't make another Captain America movie if you're going to treat it the same way. Either be better or leave it alone. Thank you, Captain's Log. It's the New Mutants.
Yeah.
Think about all of the characters that I just listed that they've introduced so far in the MCU. More than half of them were women. But Captain Marvel tanked. Miss Marvel did better than I think they might have thought, but I don't think it did well enough for them to give her her own solo film.
I felt like that series.
That was really good. Echo, nobody saw.
Which is also good.
4
but to me,
women-led projects that have not been supported well.
So to me, Miss Marvel and Echo, I think, were handled well culturally. What wasn't is that they didn't. There's just not, and they're not. They haven't developed the box. Like they're not popular. So like you got to do something to bring awareness to these characters. Like you got to give them a platform to showcase. Yeah, like it's a matter of advertising too, but it's I think also like it would help if you introduce them in alongside a well-known like franchise. Like Black Panther is a very popular franchise, like amongst, especially within Black, like I don't know a Black person that didn't know who Black Panther was. Like, you know, like they may not have read the comics, but everybody knows who Black Panther is because he's a Black superhero. So like there was a level of awareness already about who he was. Then you have on top of that, like the budget and the production and the trailers were amazing. And like the world was like, they handled the cultural aspects of it very well. And they put a lot of money, like you said, into advertising.
So I think that's the issue, because when I say treat them with care, I'm not just talking about culturally. We know Marvel is capable of making culturally aware films, and I would argue that this is the first film that failed that Captain America: A Brave New World for the first time had a character of color as their main character, and they completely ignored that character's race.
Shang-Chi too, another one.
Shang-Chi was gorgeous. Black Panther was gorgeous. Black Panther 2, I would argue, was even more culturally sensitive to the first one for both of the involved cultures. Damn it. And so we know Marvel is capable, but when it comes to advertising, let's be more specific.
They haven't done it on the TV side.
Their Disney Plus projects, they're failing. And I think their holding on to COVID numbers that were just unfair. Just
Yeah, that was a bubble. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't a real, that's not real performance. Like that's literally people being locked in their homes and needing to be entertained. Like that's not real. You can't substantiate the like true value based on that. Like when you didn't have other options. Like if you wanted to be entertained, you had to stay inside and play board games, watch TV, or play video games. Like I don't, then whatever else people got up to, but like that's primarily it. And I agree with you. I think Disney Plus as a platform has not been managed well post COVID, or actually from the jump. Like because it wasn't the advertising and promotion of stuff that made shows popular during COVID. It was just literally people didn't have anything else to do. Like they watched literally the entirety of Netflix and were looking for anything else, and whatever they could watch, that's what they were watching. And like I think they believed that their content was good enough to not need to be advertised like their films had been advertised prior to the pandemic, where the reality is like they needed to put as much money advertising wise into these shows as they did like Infinity War and Endgame.
If it were not for the integration of Hulu, I can't confidently say that I would still watch Disney Plus. And that's me being the comic book lover that I am. We're inching on 2 hours and we've already agreed to do this again. I do think we need to start the next show, unless something else big happens before our next show. We have to have a conversation about streaming services and how they're affecting just film fandoms in general. There's too many.
Yeah.
Too many. Bring cable back. Make cable great again.
Yeah, like they got to do something, or like they need to start bundling these like it's too much.
Is once you get it all, isn't that what cable is?
Yeah, but see, like the only advantage, the real advantage is that you don't have additional hardware that you need to purchase. Like it's all digital still. Like outside of that, 100%. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like, yeah, partner with like YouTube TV or something. I don't know. Give me like a YouTube TV bundle with like YouTube TV and then X number of streamers. I think they do that though. Technically, I think you can do that with YouTube TV. I think you can like add streaming services to your subscription if you want to. But
for
it's
some of them, but I
don't think it's all of them. I don't think it's all of them.
I don't want to get into because this is
it should be by choice
topic. But I think that's a huge part of why we are where we are today, why we're having this conversation. There's a huge chance that streaming services, a lot of the shows that we're talking about that aren't successful, won't even get made. And I think that's important. Yes, streaming services give us more outlet, but if those shows would have never been successful on cable, we can't expect them to be as successful as we would have wanted them to be on streaming services. The numbers are not comparable.
Yeah. Well, in addition to that point, like maybe the streaming content just needs it's bonus material. Like it doesn't need to be main story type of stuff.
Right.
Like,
or at least don't make 37 shows in a year. Give us one.
Yeah, give us one or two. Give me one every 6 months, and I'm good. Like, that's still a lot of content. Because how many movies you're going to put out a year? I'd say no more than 4. I'd say no more than 4, and that still wouldn't be enough for the amount of characters that they've got to get on screen. Like, that's a
why
lot. That's what I'm saying.
Some people are gonna have to get cut. Some
What
people, I don't want to say have to get cut. Some people
more,
are going to get cut.
Stick with the ensembles. Make more ensemble movies and just roll with it that way. Like, everybody can't get a solo movie. I'm sorry. It's just not, it's not reality. Like, we need Avengers stories. We don't have to have the full Avengers, but they need to put multiple Avengers in the same movie and introduce a new character that way.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
all right. JBM is not here, but for old time's sake, we got to do it. How many scoops of gumbo are you giving to Captain America: A Brave New World?
So my score hasn't changed from Discord. It's still a 7.
I'm gonna give it 7 scoops of gumbo.
It's a solid, like, I mean, it's a solid like 7. Like, no points in addition, just straight up 7. Like, it wasn't a one. It's a very entertaining movie. So off of the entertainment factor, it gets at least 5 for me, because it did help my attention. Like, it wasn't, I never had an issue where I was like, I kind of like blanked out or zoned out. Like, it kept my attention the full time. Another point is that I felt Sam as Captain America, like, more so than in any other movies, or even in Falcon and Winter Soldier. He was still very much Falcon in that series. But this, to me, established him as Captain America. Like, I can see this version of Sam leading a team. And then I guess my 7th point is just how grounded some of the story beats were. Like, and I'd say, because I'd give it a 7 just because it can be foundational. Like, this is to me, it feels like a good starting point for what's coming next. Like, there are good tie-ins. It got me more curious to see the Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four.
I agree.
I was excited for those, but I'm like more engaged in like, okay, like, where are they going with those stories? Like, I know the connection between Bucky and Sam, and there's a connection between him and the Thunderbolts. And all right, cool. So where does that? I felt like there were some cool things, like really subtle tie-ins that I think are a good way to start the year for Marvel.
I agree. And I 7 scoops for me with an asterisk next to it. And the asterisk is the teeniest, tiniest print of everything I said today. And I am excited to see the Thunderbolts. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm excited to argue about the Fantastic Four. I think that's all I got.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna argue.
Have you seen The Bear?
The Bear, yeah.
Okay, never mind. Who was I talking to about that thing? Did that take you out?
What do you mean?
Ben Grimm. Because that's what's Eben Moss? Yeah. And he's got the cooking scene. He's got the cooking scene in the trailer.
If I remember correctly,
he's literally doing the bear.
He was cook. Didn't he cook in the previous movies too? Wasn't he like the one that cooked? And I think he's like in the comics. He was
like, he's really like, yeah, he's that's his character. Like, he's the caretaker, caregiver. Like, he's the guardian. So but it was very much, it was literally the bear. I'm like, all right.
I mean, okay. I'm not mad at it. They know who this character is. We know who this actor is, and they want to get us in. I'm not mad at that.
I'm not
Yeah,
mad at it. It's just
let's
kind of like,
use him.
yeah.
When Beyonce is in a movie, she's not the greatest actor in the film, but she is Beyonce. Put her all up and through the trailer because she Beyonce.
Fair point. Fair point.
That's all I got. I have no idea what my exit speech used to be. I don't even know where to start. Thank y'all for watching.
Yes, number one. First and foremost, appreciate y'all for tuning in for
Thank you
2 hours.
For 2 hours. This is longer than what we had planned. Please, as always, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. No. Yes. Twitch.
No.
A lot of
Yes.
Twitch.
Yes,
and
Twitch. The other T one we not. We're not a part of.
We're gonna make a blue sky.
we got to get on Blue Sky.
Follow us on Twitch. There's a lot of activity happening on Twitch now. There's a big streaming schedule, so please follow us on Twitch. Do expect to see some of our streams for Certified Gumbo on Twitch soon. And thank you for watching. I loved y'all. I missed y'all. I look forward to talking with y'all again. I know I forgot something. But
that was about it. Because normally we'd have like, oh, here's the next blah, blah, blah. But we're not yet. We're looking at like a bi-weekly twice a month stream right now. Nothing, we have no concrete times, dates yet, but just know that
you'll get at least one in March. And
another one.
You'll get more than a couple hours notice. That will happen.
Yeah. We will be back in 2 weeks. That is for certain.
Let's do it. I commit to that.
Wednesday. But we will be back.
It will be a day in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, we'll be back. I also possibly I think at least we can do just a state of the community and state of Gumbo kind of address and just kind of have a chat. Let's just talk and just hang out, be casual, and talk about stuff.
That's what we do.
I think it's been long overdue. It's been like 2 years. We may as well catch up with stream and chat and everybody and see what's going on.
Life Twitch for everybody.
The Twitch has primarily been allocated towards video game gameplay, so that's what that's over there. So if you want to watch me play video games, come and hang out over on Twitch. We might experiment with doing some Twitch streams, because I don't know how many people in chat actually watch Twitch and are familiar with how Twitch handles chat. Because I personally like Twitch chat better than how YouTube does their chat. Like, it's way more interactive on Twitch, and I want some more interaction, like custom emojis and all that fun stuff. That would be good. But we'll resume in a couple weeks time. But all y'all, if you're not in Discord, please hop in the Discord, talk to us. We'll be there as often as we can be. And yeah, we appreciate all the support. And
peace, love, and soul. Is that how to end it?
And may the well, yes, technically. I mean, that's a way. I would say, peace, love, and blessings. May the force be with you always.
No, I was thinking
peace, love, and soul. Oh, that's what, you lost me on that one. I didn't. Dang.
All right, but go. Force be with you. You do that.
Yeah. Peace, love, blessings. May the force be with you always. Oh, there's an extra button.